Alright, welcome back to This Kid's Opinion, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Sweet 16. We're finally at the Sweet 16 of March Madness, and I've been having a lot of fun covering March Madness this year. I made a lot of videos, a lot of different bracket videos. Now, we'll get to the brackets later. My bracket hasn't been doing the best, but I do think it will get better as March Madness goes on. But first, before we review my brackets, I just want to get into the actual Sweet 16. What do we got going on? So, on the south side of the bracket, we got Auburn and Michigan advancing to the Sweet 16. So Auburn beat Creighton, and this Louisville-Creighton 8v9 matchup was a very tough one for me to predict. I should have went with Creighton because I used the logic of Michigan being too big and having really good rebounding against UC San Diego. However, I didn't use that same logic. I should have. Ryan Kalkbrenner is a 7'1" center, and Louisville has always struggled against size this season. But I really trust in Javon Hadley, Chucky Hepburn, and Terrence Edwards, but they weren't able to deliver. They got destroyed by Creighton. That's one I should have gotten, but it's an 8v9 matchup. It's always a toss-up, and I really like Louisville this year, so I was a little biased there. But that's one I'm not feeling too bad about. And then I did pick Texas A&M over Yale. I thought they'd be too physical for them, and they were. And then I did pick A&M over Michigan in my bracket, and I mean that pick was looking pretty good. Texas A&M was playing really well in that game for stretches, but they kind of choked late into the game. And Michigan is just staying hot. Michigan is hot right now, and I did not expect them to make it to the Sweet 16. So congrats to Michigan. And then Ole Miss got the better of North Carolina. They almost lost that game, but luckily Sean Padua clutched it out for them. So I had Ole Miss winning that game. I had Iowa State over Lipscomb, and then I had New Mexico over Marquette. So I was doing pretty good for a minute. And then I obviously had Michigan State, and then I had New Mexico lose to Michigan State. However, I had Iowa State beat Ole Miss. I just thought that Iowa State was a better version of Ole Miss, but you know, I should have known. I literally had Ole Miss as one of my teams in my sleeper contenders video, so I should have known. But I just thought Iowa State was a better version of Ole Miss, so I don't feel bad about that one. I'm really happy that Ole Miss is doing really well. I really like watching them this year, so congrats to Sean Padua, Chris Beard, and company. Hopefully they can do well against Michigan State, but I hope not because I have Michigan State in my Final Four. So yeah, I had Auburn and then Michigan State, and then I had Michigan State beating Auburn to the Final Four. So I didn't do too bad in this region. So yeah, and then on to the other side, we got Duke advancing on. Then I had Baylor beat Mississippi State. That one was a lot closer than I expected. I thought Baylor would do a much better job, but they still won. But they lost to Baylor. And then I had Oregon and Arizona advance. I didn't pick either of these upsets. I don't believe in either of these teams that much. And then I did have Arizona beat Oregon, and this was a pretty good game. Oregon was in my sleeper contenders video. I really like this Oregon team, but Arizona, they're really good on the outside and inside, especially with Vesar as their center. And then Caleb Love, RJ Lewis, Bradley. They have really good guards, so that's why I really like this Arizona team this year. And then this one really hurt. This is where I lost an Elite 8 team. I had Wisconsin in my Elite 8, losing to Duke and having Duke to the Final Four. But, man, they almost completed a comeback. But BYU, they're good this year. I didn't think they were Sweet 16 good. But, yeah, they made it to the Sweet 16. So, congrats to the Cougars there. Taking out my Elite 8 team, Wisconsin. My number one sleeper contender team down. Sucks to see John Tonje had a shot to tie the game, but he missed it. I mean, this one really hurt. That one really hurt. And then I had St. Mary's beat Vanderbilt, and then Alabama moving on. So we got BYU, Alabama. That's going to be a really good, really high-scoring game. A lot of threes. I think Alabama's going to take the cake and advance on to face Duke. But Arizona could beat Duke. That would be a pretty cool upset there. And Arizona, Alabama would be a pretty cool Elite 8 game. But we shall see. So, yeah, we got Auburn, Michigan, Ole Miss, Michigan State, Duke, Arizona, BYU, Alabama, advancing to the Sweet 16. And then here we go. We got Florida. Dude, I was on a car ride home, listening on the radio to Florida UConn. I was stressing so bad. I cannot believe Florida made a comeback. They should have lost this game. I feel bad for UConn. They definitely should have advanced, but Florida, they got so many options, and that really made the difference in this game. So yeah, UConn beat up on Oklahoma and then narrowly lost to the 1 seed Florida, which is great for me because I have Florida as my national champion, beating Houston in the finals. So that was a nail biter. And then here's an upset I don't feel bad about. I picked Memphis over Colorado State. I thought that Memphis had way more scoring options, especially with Colby Rogers. Tyrese Hunter, I did not know Tyrese Hunter was out. So if I knew that, I may have picked Colorado State, but still, I don't feel too bad about this pick here. I knew Memphis wouldn't go far, but I thought they would at least beat Colorado State. But it was really cool seeing Colorado State beat them and then almost beating Maryland. That would have been really cool to see. But Maryland survives, and great for me because I had them losing to Florida. But I would also like to see them beat Florida. Not for my bracket, but I do really like this Maryland team. I think they have one of the best starting lineups in the country. Rodney Rice is one of the best shooters in the country. You can honestly say the same for Jacoby Gillespie. And then obviously they have the Twin Towers with Derek Queen and Julian Reese. They're just a really fun team to watch. And also don't forget about Selton McGill. He's pretty much a glue of this team. He's like the Luau Deng of this team, if you remember that player. And then Missouri lost to Drake. Turnovers. Kind of the same situation as Memphis. I was kind of concerned about these teams. However, I didn't believe in these Cinderella teams, so that's why I picked Memphis and Missouri. And that's why I didn't have them go far, because they are turnover prone. But I probably should have known better. Drake could have slowed down the game in Missouri. But I picked Missouri because I knew that Mark Mitchell was going to be playing. If Mark Mitchell was not going to be playing, I was not going to pick Missouri. But I thought he would be too big and too physical for Drake. But no, he didn't really play that well in that game. So congrats to Drake for getting that win. Both to me, they lost to Texas Tech. And this one really hurts. This bottom part really hurt for me. I had Kansas over Arkansas. I was really confident in this one. I think Arkansas turns the ball over a lot. And I thought, you could say the same about Kansas. I was not high on this Kansas team. I had them in my top 5 teams to not trust. Should have listened to myself, but I thought they were good enough to beat this Arkansas team. Just off their starting lineup, I thought Hunter Dickinson would be a little better in this Arkansas game, but I just should have known. Arkansas has so many guys on this team. Even if they're injuries, they're just so scrappy. But I thought Zeke Mayo would be enough. I thought Hunter Dickinson, DeJuan Harris would be enough. I just didn't trust this Arkansas team. And boy, I should have, because they took down St. John's, who was in my Elite 8, and that sucks. Now, I did put St. John's in my top 5 teams to trust because I thought they would get a pretty good draw. But I knew they weren't Final Four good because of their offense. But I thought they'd be good enough with this draw. I thought they'd be good enough because I thought they would have destroyed Kansas. I really wish we got to see that game, St. John's, Kansas, because I think that would have been a bloodbath. But we didn't. Instead, we saw one of the worst officiated games of my entire life. St. John's, Arkansas was a disgrace to watch because the refs did not let them play. Foul call after foul call after foul call. It was like every possession was a foul call, and it's just like, let them play. And then Rick Pitino decided to not play RJ Lewis just to prove a point, you know. That was Rick Pitino, man. What was that coaching job? But yeah, congrats to Arkansas. Congrats to Calipari. First season with the Razorbacks have faced a lot of adversity, but they're charging forward, and they could beat Texas Tech. I don't think they will. I like this Texas Tech team, and I really wish I had Texas Tech beat St. John's now, because Texas Tech is really good this year, and I should have believed in them more, but hey, I can't change it. And then, yeah, that's going to do it for this bracket. Texas Tech beat Drake. No surprise there. So, yeah, this bottom part had a lot of action going on. And then our final region, Houston and Purdue made it to the Elite 8, or no, not the Elite 8, the Sweet 16. And this side of bracket, not even really this side, because I did really good in this region. It's just these 2 games right here, okay? I picked the wrong upset. I picked High Point over Purdue, and I picked Clemson over McNeese, and this one really screwed me. I don't know. I did not like this McNeese team. I watched a few of the games. I wasn't really impressed. I thought Clemson would be able to beat this team. I thought Chase Hunter would be enough. I thought Ian Sheffield would be enough. Yeah, I was really surprised by this game. Clemson scored, what did they score? 13 points in the first half, and then they scored like 54 points in the second half. Like, insane stuff. They almost made a comeback. But if they literally played 25% of how they normally play, they would have beat McNeese. And I don't feel bad about this pick at all, because they showed in the second half that they played anything like they normally do, they would beat this McNeese team 9 times out of 10. But this was the 1 out of 10 where they lost, and I can't feel bad about this because like they showed they were able to beat McNeese, but they just weren't able to. And then at times, High Point looked really good against Purdue. I should have known. I should have known with I forget their center's name on Purdue. I know it ends with Ren, but he played phenomenal against High Point, and I should have known that he would have dominated. But I don't know, man. I felt something about this High Point team. I thought Demarion Williams would have went off, and I don't know. But I didn't have them go into the second round, so I mean, it didn't really hurt me. But it did kind of hurt me because I had Purdue lose in the first round, and then they won 2 games in this tournament, so that really sucks for me. So I hope Houston beats Purdue because they're in my Final Four and championship game. And then here's where I did really good. I had Illinois. I can't even say really good. It was just easy picks. Illinois beat Xavier. I had Kentucky over Troy. Then I had UCLA over Utah State. A lot of people were picking Utah State. I did not believe in this Utah State team. I really like UCLA. I like Mac. I like Billadu. They have a solid defensive foundation. But those 2 scores, that made them a pretty good team. And at times they put up a good fight against Tennessee. So that was good to see there. But I did pick Tennessee to beat UCLA. And in my bracket, I have Kentucky beating Tennessee. And then they will meet Houston, the Elite 8. And then Houston will go to the Final Four. And yeah, so that's the review of the Sweet 16. All right, here's my official bracket. As I said earlier, I had Auburn and Texas A&M in my Sweet 16. Only change here is that Michigan made it after being Texas A&M. And then, yeah, Ole Miss managed to upset Iowa State. And now we have Ole Miss and Michigan State instead of Iowa State. And then on this side, I went perfect. Went perfect for this side of the bracket, which isn't saying much. This was the easy part of the bracket to predict. And then here's where things went a little wrong. I had VCU over BYU in the first round, and VCU should have won this game, but they turned the ball over way too much. I thought they'd be able to slow down and really guard the perimeter like Houston was able to. I thought VCU was a baby Houston team, but they definitely showed their nerves, and they turned the ball over a lot. BYU, the more experienced team, was able to capitalize on it. And then, yeah, like I said earlier, Wisconsin went down. Sucks. I really like this Wisconsin team. I loved how many scoring options they had, how many rebounders they had, and it just sucks. I should have known their lack of defense, but I don't know. That's the thing about March Madness. It's about teams that you feel passionate about and also making the smart picks. That's how you're going to make a good bracket, having your mix of personal values and making smart choices. That's why I did with this bracket. And that's why it's not doing too terribly. It's in the 77th percentile. Out of 24 million brackets to be in 5 millionth place, I mean, it's not the best, but it's definitely not bad. And I do think it's going to get better as March Madness rolls on. And then, yeah, I had Alabama over St. Mary's. Did well here. And then did pretty good here. Only thing I missed was Colorado State. And then I had, yeah, a lot of X's here. Missouri, Kansas losing to Arkansas. They shouldn't have lost that game. And then St. John's went down and one of the ugliest games you'll ever see all year. And then went perfect here. And, yeah, let's just not talk about this side. But, yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with my bracket. The only picks I honestly really regret is Creighton, not picking Creighton, picking Louisville. And then what's another one I really regret? I mean, maybe no. I really believe in this Wisconsin team. I have no regrets there. I think my only other regret would be probably picking High Point over Purdue. Yeah, that was probably my one regret. I should have Purdue move on. But yeah, that's gonna do this video. Let me know how your bracket's doing, what you think of my bracket, and your overall thoughts on March Madness so far through the Sweet 16. Would really appreciate if you like, subscribed. Obviously, I'm making March Madness content right now, but I also make content about literally anything. The channel is called This Kid's Opinion. I'll talk about anything. So also comment if you want my opinion on anything. I'll make album reviews. I review TV shows, movies, all that fun stuff. But I'm just a kid, and this is my opinion.